And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Rank. This is one of those days, Troy, where we have 10 pounds of stuff to put in a 1 pound bag. So you want to start with anything, or should we just pretty much get right to it?
I say we get right to it. Yeah, it's usually this time of year, it's a little, can be a little tepid in terms of interest. We got a lot going on today.
We do, but before we do, want to tell you about Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos. They always have great promotions. They'll be giving away a pair of snowmobiles or nearly $18,000 in cash the weekend of February 20th. It's your choice on what you want, the snowmobiles together or the cash. Earn daily entries with every locked up jackpot or by redeeming players' points on your card. You can also earn a chance to win during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, really loose slots, great promotions, great food. Family-owned casino that treats you like family. Time now for The Lead.
The Lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Hey, Troy. Peyton Watson, second-degree hamstring injury. Recovery time, roughly 3 to 8 weeks. Generally speaking, it's about 4 weeks. Also, high chance of reoccurrence. Just look at what happened with Aaron Gordon. So, after Jokic and Murray, which players, give me 3 in a row from first to third, the Nuggets can least afford to lose heading into the playoffs?
Well, I mean, it starts with Jokic. They're not winning anything without
him. No, after Jokic and Murray. After Jokic and Murray.
I mean, so Aaron Gordon would be one on that list. They're not winning the championship without Aaron Gordon, regardless of what this season has looked like. He makes the pieces fit, and he could still do that in the second half of the season, certainly in the playoffs. So for me, it would be Gordon. And then I would probably go Gordon, Watson, based on how he has played this year. And then I might go Valanciunas third, ahead of Christian Brown, because Brown has just not been a factor. Cam Johnson's really not been the factor we expected. So that would be my order of players you can't lose beyond Joker and Murray. And the idea that Watson's in that conversation is just jarring, because we're like, was he going to be traded at the deadline? His future was uncertain. But Eric, I don't know that there's been any player better than Murray outside the last month. I mean, you got a guy shooting like 43% from three, 50% from the field. I think over his last 18 games, he's averaging 22.5 points a game. Yeah. I mean, they're going to miss him. And he plays defense on a team with only about 3 or 4 legit defenders. He's one of them.
Yeah, I can almost argue your list just a little bit differently. I could see where people would put Watson over Gordon for this reason. Offensively, he produces more consistently than Gordon. I understand that Gordon, in theory, is the heart and soul of this team, but offensively, Peyton is a stronger performer, at least he has been this year. So if we flip-flopped him just for fun, with Valanciunas, I would argue Hardaway with his production, but importance, Valanciunas, in order to give Jokic those minutes. With that, let's get into Troy Franklin, who told the Denver Post, quote, I'm going to get 1,000-yard season. I'm going to double up the touchdowns, and receptions need to get about 80 to 100. Franklin added that he's planning on adding about 10 pounds of muscle to get up to about 195 pounds by training camp. All due respect to Courtland Sutton, do you think Franklin could be a number 1 wide receiver?
Not next season, I don't. I haven't seen enough. Now, again, we just talked about a player in Peyton Watson, what I would never told you he'd average 22.5 points a game over a stretch, let alone almost a month. I like Troy Franklin, and no player on their team was more improved year over year from training camp to season than Troy Franklin. So when he says it, my ears perk up, because I've seen him take this seriously in how he improved. I just don't know, is he that guy? I don't know. To be a 1 in the league, you're a guy that they look for on third down. They look for to make big catches. And think back to Franklin's season. As much as we liked it, how many times was he a huge guy on third down? How many times would you look back to games and go, man, I don't know if they'd have won that game without Troy Franklin. Sutton's been that guy. My issue with Sutton is he has drops and he disappears for long stretches. Sometimes not his fault. Sometimes it's play calling, but Cortland disappears. And Cortland has a habit of making some of the hardest catches in the league and then dropping catches early in the game that end up being a 3 and out. I like the idea that Franklin's motivated, Eric, and he's proven that he can improve over year. But for me, they gotta go add competition in that room. They've got to add competition in that room if they want Bo Nix to reach his potential. I mean, I don't know. What did you think of Franklin? I mean, when he says that, I'm not dismissing it because of the improvement, but I don't know anyone in the league that sees Troy Franklin as a 1 in his 3rd season.
No, nobody does. I'll tell you who I like even more than Troy Franklin, but they're two different guys. I am very high and have been very high on Pat Bryant. When they traded Vele, I said, I think this guy is like Vele, but better than Vele. He is like, Tim Patrick, but better than Patrick. And I have no doubt that Peyton would want to use him more. Look at early in games who they were throwing to. They were throwing to Pat Bryant. Now, granted, he was not getting the other team's number 1 cornerback, maybe even number 2 cornerback. So maybe I need to pump the brakes a little bit on that. He doesn't have the same flash, certainly doesn't have the same speed as Troy Franklin, but he's a terrific complementary piece. To your point, we are waiting for Franklin to be that guy. We are waiting for Mims to be that guy. We're waiting for Bryant to be that guy. So to your point, if they are in a Super Bowl window, and really they have to be in a Super Bowl window, because we'll talk about it next week when you look at guys in their rookie contract on how many guys get to the Super Bowl. We will spell that out next week. But because they are in that window, I don't know if they can wait, right? Stephon Diggs said he was close to coming here. I'm not sure if he fit in the Broncos culture. I'm not so sure that the Broncos are willing to pay him. I just don't know where they get that number 1 guy from. And it sure as hell, I don't believe would be George Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens would be the guy from a talent perspective. That does not make sense given the way that Sean Payton runs the locker room and the players. Frankly, even more specifically, how the players run their own locker room.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Pat Bryant. I love Pat Bryant. His toughness, he's got great hands, but he's a possession receiver.
Yep.
For me, he's not a true 1, and he's a nice piece in his 2nd year. The guy that's got the talent in terms of being a true 1 statistically is clearly Marvin Mims. Yeah. But he's a gadget player. They don't use him. I get more emails about him. Throw to Mims. I'm like, I'm with you. It's hard to be a 1 when you get 4 targets, no targets, 1 target, 6 targets, no target. Like, just go look at his game log and tell me that looks like a 1. Because I think Bronco fans have forgotten what a 1 looks like. Go watch what it looks like with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and guys like JSN with the Seahawks and Puka. That's a 1, folks. That's what a 1 looks like. 10 catches, 14 targets, 100 yards consistently. Broncos don't have that. But I do think they're going to add. If we believe Diggs on his word that the Broncos had interest, I don't know why he would make that up, especially after just beating the Broncos. But if they had interest in him, there was at least flirtation with Kupp last offseason. It was more over the price. They didn't have interest in Deebo Samuel, but it wouldn't surprise me if they look to trade. The free agent market, when you talk Pickens and then Alec Pierce, that price with Pickens is going to start at like 33, 34 million a year. And Pierce, because of the weak free agent market, is he going to ask for 27? Like, there's no way they're paying him that with what they paid Sutton. But can you go trade for 1? That's what I would keep an eye on. The Broncos trading for a veteran receiver to create real competition and kind of a 1A, 1B with Sutton.
All right, let's get into the NFL awards last night. Garrett Bowles did not win the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. He and Miners did not win the Protector of the Year award. Benito did not win the Defensive Player of the Year award. When it comes to the Assistant Coach of the Year, Vance Joseph has already won that this year, not last night, but he's already won it. The winner was Josh McDaniels, and I have a feeling that you and I are going to go back and forth on this one. Make your argument, and I'm guessing you would make your argument for Vance Joseph.
Well, when you talk about a team that went 12-3 in one-score games, that won its first division title in a decade, first one seed in a decade, and you can't vote on the playoffs. It's a regular season award when they vote for cash. The Broncos, I'm not sure they have a winning record without this defense. When you go back and think to the way they beat the Jets in London, that literally my retinas are still burning. I got an eye appointment right after this. I'm going to get some stuff fixed after watching that game. You look at the Raiders 10-7 game. Look at some of the Chargers at the end of the season, the Chiefs at the end of the season. The only reason the Broncos were in position to do special things this season was Vance Joseph and his defense. And you can say they're loaded with talent. I would say he's developed that talent. There's not a bunch of first rounders on there. Jahdae Barron, the only other first rounder with Pat Surtain, barely played. So don't tell me he's got a collection of all-stars. He took a group that buys in. He creates a brotherhood. You watch Malcolm Roach. You watch JFN. You watch DJ Williams. Watch how Zach Allen, how they run to the ball. Like I always say in basketball, if you want to know if players respect their coach, see how many guys get back in transition. You want to see in football with a D coordinator how many guys respect their coach? Watch how many guys are around the ball. And it's him. And when it comes to Josh McDaniels, he's a great offensive coordinator. He is. They played the easiest schedule in the league. The Broncos.
Oh, that you're going to go. So Vrabel then should not have won Coach of the Year. Then Drake May shouldn't even be top 5 in the MVP because look at who they played. That's your argument?
No, that's one of the factors.
No. If who they played is part of your argument, like Mike Vrabel has zero business being even mentioned as Coach of the Year. Drake May has no business.
They went from 4-13. They've won 17 games. The schedule's only part of that. A Coach of the Year is not just the record. I'm just saying it's a part of the argument.
Yeah.
McDaniels deserves credit for Drake May, but Drake May in big games didn't exactly light it up. Look, I want to see how May did against the best teams and the best defenses. And unfortunately, we didn't really see that till the playoffs. He's not very good in the playoffs. Their offense isn't very good. So next year when they play a tougher schedule, I think we'll have a better read. I just believe Vance Joseph deserved the edge over McDaniels. And I'm not gonna lie. I have a bias against McDaniels. I don't like him personally. I don't like how every freaking member of the Patriots staff rode Tom Brady's coattails for 2 decades and basically said, we can win with anyone. And they've never won with anyone outside of Tom Brady. It's why Bill Belichick, his coaching tree is a branch, and you've got Sean McVay is the ancient forest.
Right.
So part of it is I don't like the idea that McDaniels gets credit for things I don't think he deserves credit for. I could have coached Tom Brady, and he's going to win because he's his own coach.
Come on, that's ridiculous. With that, let's look at Vance's defense. Listen, love Vance, would have loved to have seen him win it. Let's take away the final 2 games of the regular season in which the Chiefs did not have Mahomes and the Chargers did not have Herbert. They gave up 34 to Jacksonville. They gave up 26 to Green Bay. They gave up 26 in overtime, albeit, to Washington without Jaden McDaniels. Now let's look at the Patriots. Last year, as you said accurately, they flipped it around. The Broncos made the playoffs last year. The Patriots last year were 4-13, right? This year, they were what, 13-4, 14-3, whatever it was? Okay. With that, when you look at the Patriots offense last year, they were 31st in the league in yards. This year, they were 3rd. Last year, in points, they were 30th. This year, they were 2nd. And then Drake May did not look anywhere close to being what Bo Nix was last year. He just finished 2nd in the MVP. May was 17th in QBR last year, number 1 this year. He was 23rd in quarterback rating last year, 1st this year. And oh, by the way, it wasn't like a tight margin. He was 1st. There was a gap between 1st and 2nd in QBR and quarterback rating. We can make the argument about who they played. He has turned around their quarterback's future, but in just one season, and that offense, depending on whether you want to say who did they play, they rocked teams consistently. And by the way, when the Broncos played teams that weren't very good defenses, they still struggled. So Josh McDaniels, to me, is not some questionable call. Vance Joseph had a very good defense last year. Were they the best defense in the league? Oh, I could argue for the Texans.
You can't be the best defense in the league when your team ranks 26th and 3 and outs offensively. You can't. It's impossible.
I understand
That's
that.
the part no one factors in. The argument against Vance, if you want to make it, is very simple. The lack of takeaways. End of story. That's it. They set the sack record in the franchise record the past 2 years. They had 9 more sacks than any team in football. In back-to-back years, when teams are scheming to specifically stop you from sacking their quarterback. The problem with Vance, the one thing against him are the takeaways. That's it. That's the argument against him.
And you know what the one argument against Josh McDaniels is? Look at who they played. That's the argument. And that's the only argument. He flipped that completely around. Vance's defense was excellent last year. It was excellent this year. I think the reason why the Josh McDaniels got the award is because of the sudden shift from shit to excellent in one season. And Drake May is arguably right now one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, although in the playoffs, he has not been very good. But again, this is a regular season award. This is not a playoff award. The best regular season playoff award is Joel Embiid. Great in the regular season, not very good in the playoffs. But that's not how the voting goes. With that, I think
it's fall for the trap every year of the comeback story.
Say it again.
The voters fall into the trap every year of the comeback story, the improvement story.
But the improvement was ridiculously striking. It was from here to here. It was an enormous gap. Again, I just read off the numbers from 30th in points per game to second. I mean, can the pendulum swing any harder from yards per game 31st?
What was his best victory in the regular season last year? At Baltimore with no Lamar Jackson. I mean, at some point it matters. They had the easiest schedule by winning percentage in the last 26 years. They were essentially playing in the WAC where everyone else is in the SEC.
So you're going to hold that against them?
That's got to be a factor.
Fine. Then because they played the easiest schedule, then argue for somebody else to be coach of the year. Because it's certainly sure as hell not better. It's not Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel should not be top 5 because look at the schedule that they play.
That award again every year. Sean Payton didn't make the top 6. And they got the AFC 1 seed for the first time in a decade and won 14 in the regular season. Yeah. He didn't even get in the top 6. My coach of the year, if you're going to take coaching guys up in the toughest conference, would have likely been Kyle Shanahan. If you're going absolute just coaching.
I agree.
Not
with all the guys that he lost. I'm with you on that.
Every other guy was Cohen, turned it around. Jen Johnson turned the program around. Vrabel turned the program. If you want to just say just coaching in the toughest division where you're playing the Rams twice and the Seahawks twice, it was Kyle Shanahan and the Niners.
And oh, by the way, and this seems like nitpicking, I believe the Patriots did not get the number 1 seed because of a tiebreak. Is that right?
They lost to the Raiders.
Right. So they lost in a tiebreak. They had the same record. They just lost.
Because they lost to the Raiders.
So that should affect Vrabel and May and McDaniels in the first game of the season, where Vrabel is coaching the team game 1. So is McDaniels. So we're gonna hold them to that standard. You lose your first game of the season, and if the things don't go your way or do go your way, it should be held against you because you lost to the Raiders.
In this year,
it was technically.
You had enough candidates this year. 99% of the time, nobody cares what you do in September. In this particular race, with this many coaches, you could. I don't have that big of an issue with it. Part of it is the Patriots and how they have ridden the backs of Tom Brady for so many guys, starting from Joe Judge to their line coaches to Belichick. None of it exists in the form outside of maybe the first Super Bowl without Brady. And all you have to do is look at Belichick's record without Brady and look what Brady did without McDaniels in Tampa Bay. As a declining player in his 40s, won another Super Bowl.
You got a problem with Robert? You got a problem with Robert Kraft not going into the Hall of Fame? Because according to what you just said, he has no fucking business being in there. Because what would he be? Hold on. What would he be as an owner without? What would he be as an owner without Tom Brady? Nothing. 0 Super Bowls. Nothing. What would Belichick be without Brady? Nothing. 0 Super Bowls. It can't always come back to one. It's a very convenient argument, and I'm not making an excuse with you, but it's lazy analysis to go to one guy and say everything comes from him. And it might, but you can't say that because of one guy, everybody.
Belichick and McDaniels, because they've never won with someone else. Kraft doesn't have a choice. He doesn't switch teams and own different teams. This is the only team he owns, the records itself. But Belichick 100% should have been a first ballot guy. I have no issue with that. If they want to hold the Deflategate and the Spygate, I have issue with that only because that they don't have a morality clause in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They don't. So to suddenly apply it to him is not fair. And I don't like the guy, but that's not fair. That's not. And to create a voting process where you're more worried as a voter voting for L.C. Greenwood and Kenny Anderson and Roger Craig over Bill Belichick, that's stupid. He should be in. He should. But I'm saying with Kraft, part of it is I watched Jerry Jones get in before Bolin. It's a screwed up process.
That one I totally agree with. And oh, by the way, Josh McDaniels just proved this year he can win without Tom Brady. Let's move this along.
Super Bowl? I'm sorry. Are we in some time machine? Has he won a Super Bowl without Tom Brady?
He has a chance to on Sunday, doesn't he?
Yeah, chance.
Okay. He has a chance. Okay, no. At the end of listen, the Broncos don't have a chance. There are 30 teams that don't have a chance.
So wait, arguments that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
So let me ask you something.
Your fallback is what did Sean Payton do? Like everyone in this city that hates Sean Payton.
Fine. So
your fallback is go to the Broncos. We're not talking about the Broncos.
So let me ask you something then. I covered Roy Williams at Kansas, and I remember when he went to North Carolina and finally won a national championship. And somebody asked a question. I'm very much paraphrasing here. Because you just won a national championship, are you now a better coach? And he basically said, no, not at all. I just happened to win one game, and it happened to be in the national championship. So are you telling me that if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, your opinion now will completely change of Josh McDaniels because of one game?
He gets more credit, 100%.
So he has to win to get more credit. If he loses, he still can't do shit without Tom Brady. Is it really that black and white?
But you take everything in black and white. None of your arguments are nuanced. We're debating. I've never said.
You just told me he's done nothing without Tom Brady. He's on the doorstep of winning a championship.
How many people have leaned on Brady? They wouldn't have been nothing. Those are your words. You take everything 1 to 10. My argument's nuanced. I give credit for Josh as an offensive coordinator. I do. But when you start talking legacy, that's a different argument. I voted for the Baseball Hall of Fame for almost 2 decades. It's a different argument when you talk legacy. Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator has been proven. Whether I think he leaned on Brady more than they want to admit, that's my argument. I'm not saying you want to say that he's either awful or great. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you want to be in these conversations as legacy and he's unbelievable, you got to win the biggest games. And they've never done that in New England without Tom Brady. That's a very simple fact.
And now they're back with a chance to win it.
Right.
And 30 other teams are not.
Done it. And but I like Vrabel as a coach better than Belichick right now. But he's got to prove it. Belichick should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't like the Patriots the way they did business, but the idea he didn't get in was ridiculous because of a voting fiasco or personal agendas. Even if let's say if Josh McDaniels were Bill Belichick and I was voting, I would vote for Josh McDaniels. I voted for Curt Schilling, for heaven's sake, for the Baseball Hall of Fame after he said, I'd like to hang the writers and kill them all. It's not personal.
I
It's
agree.
just based on it. Based on the fact. Just because you don't like someone won't affect my voting. I covered Barry Bonds for the better part of 2 years in a home run chase.
Right.
It didn't affect how I wrote about him.
Right. And you know what? The same thing was with me. The way maybe you felt about Schilling or Barry Bonds, I don't have a vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame. I've said this to every partner I've ever worked with. The word despise, I cannot use that word more strongly when it comes to Todd Helton. He is by far and away the athlete I despise the most because, quite frankly, I thought he was a piece of shit with the way he treated other people. But you know what? I would have voted for him to go into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Well,
just like you would too. I would not make it personal either. With that, the Broncos did not make the Super Bowl. But had they, how would you have liked to seen the Broncos against the Seahawks on Sunday? And what do you think would have happened in that game? That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of snowmobiles or nearly $18,000 in cash the weekend of February 20th. It's your choice what you want, the 2 snowmobiles or the cash. Earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming points on your player card. You can also earn a chance to win during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar. And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman, and Rank. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
So let's play Back to the Future just for fun. The Broncos win the AFC Championship game, and it is Jarrett Stidham and the Broncos against the Seahawks. Personally, I think I'd rather rewatch the Broncos against the Seahawks in 2013.
Yeah, it would be ugly. The idea, I joked that you can't win with Jarrett Stidham, you can win with Stiddy. It wouldn't matter with 2 weeks preparation against that Seahawks defense. It would be such a mismatch. You look at what Seattle does to bad quarterbacks, to young quarterbacks, to inexperienced quarterbacks. If they're, you always want to get to the big game because you never know what can happen. and Sam Darnold, if he turned back into a pumpkin and the valet said, here's your keys. The clock struck midnight on him. But there's just I would not have picked the Broncos to win. Frankly, I don't think they could have kept it close against the Seahawks. The Seahawks, for me, when I've watched them, I thought watching football this year that the NFC Championship game was going to be the Super Bowl, and I still believe that. The Rams Seahawks, for me, was the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would agree on that. So the Broncos schedule will be considerably tougher this upcoming season. They have 10 games against teams that have made the playoffs. Chargers certainly count twice in that equation. So what do they need to do personnel-wise to get back to repeating as the number one seed in the AFC? What do they need to do?
Yeah.
Yours is as simple as Bo Nix is healthy and you add some nice pieces.
Yeah, for me, it's add an inside linebacker, Lloyd. I mean, if you're going to spend money, I would love for them to finally solve that position and go after Lloyd from Jacksonville at inside backer. And they've got to get one big piece offensively, whether that's a running back like Travis Etienne or Breece Hall, which I doubt, but let's just for argument's sake, a big piece there or a receiver. And then I think you're going to draft a tight end. There's really you're not going to trade for a tight end. But for me, they have to end up when we go into mini camp and after in May or whatever, where you're like, they are significantly better because of this piece of defensively one and this piece offensively. But for me, it's running back or receiver, and I would go inside backer on defense because you're going to watch on Sunday that Seattle defense. And if you're a Broncos fan and you're being honest with yourself, watch how could the Broncos beat that team? And if you say that this offense could, I would suggest that you're being delusional.
Are you saying
offensively?
Are you saying with Nix too?
Yeah, right. Yeah. If Nix played in this game, they're still not winning. If you want to see how good go watch what the Seahawks did to the 49ers this year.
Right.
And then I get they were hurt, but they played them at one point with Kittle, with McCaffrey. I mean, they maul teams. So when you're going to watch that game, just say okay, we got to bridge the gap here offensively. They have to have more weapons. And the other thing is, we brought it up earlier, they went 12-3 in one-score games. They can't play 15 one-score games next year.
No. If
you do, you're more than likely going to be 7-8 in those games, if history is to be trusted.
Law of averages, that's what you're suggesting. Look at the 2024 Chiefs. Look at the 2025 Chiefs. They were great in one-score games in 24, not so great in 25. So basically, with the Broncos against the Seahawks, you are going Adrian from Rocky IV. You can't win, right? Or do you want to go Lloyd Christmas? So you're saying there's a chance. I'll tell you the one thing I would have looked forward to seeing. Surtain and JSN going one-on-one. That would have been fascinating. Whether you believe JSN is the best wide receiver in the league, better than Jefferson, better than Jamar Chase, the guy has been virtually uncoverable this year, specifically when facing man-to-man defense.
I watched Steve Young do an interview yesterday, and he talked about how when he watches Smith-Njigba, he sees Jerry Rice traits in him. And I'm like, damn.
His separation is breathtaking.
When he was at Ohio State, he got lost in the wash because of Olave, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, who's the other one? Marvin Harrison. And of all of them, he's the best. And he never, other than the Rose Bowl 1 year, was considered the best of that crew. But you're right, that'd be a fun matchup. They would have had a puncher's chance, again, if you sack Sam Darnold and if Sam Darnold has 2 or 3 turnovers, Denver would have had a shot. I'm just saying, when you watch that Seattle defense, how fast they are at all 3 levels, how physical they are playing like it's an Ethernet connection versus dial-up teams. And I don't think the Broncos offense, even the Rams could go toe-to-toe with them. But again, we talked about with our guy Ferguson too. They have 3 tight ends, Puka, and they have 2 running backs who are legit. Charbonnet got hurt at the end of the year. But their running back situation is really good with Kyron Williams. That's when I look at the Broncos, they just aren't good enough offensively right now to win the Super Bowl. For me, they're not. That's with Bo Nix continuing to get better. They're not good enough right now to win the Super Bowl.
There are people that I've talked to about this and have said, what makes you think Seattle's defense is going to be able to hold up considering what happened against the Rams? Come on, really? You have the MVP. You just mentioned you have Puka Nacua. You have Devontae Adams, 3 tight ends that can all catch the ball, including local guy Terrence Ferguson as well, Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. They are so loaded offensively that even the best defenses are going to give up points to these guys. Although the Bears might have an argument because they held the Rams in check. But of course, you can chalk that up to being a weather game. Looking at this particular game, 4.5 point spread. I know that you don't gamble on sports, but would you take the Seahawks and give the points, or would you take the Patriots and, accept the points?
I mean, I know you're taking the Patriots because you love Josh McDaniels. But that said, Eric.
Wow. I'd say shot across the bow, but it's really shot across the internet.
I kid because I care. I would take the points. I think the Patriots, I think the Seahawks are going to win by 10.
Me too.
Again, I just watching both teams a lot I watched like the last 5 Patriots games to get a better feel because they started charging, and then I was like, once it became clear they were the Broncos competition for the 1 seed, I was going back watching their games, and they're impressive because they do everything well. They don't beat themselves, but they're young. They're just, for me, they're going to be really good. They're just a little young. And Eric, you watch the Broncos against the Seahawks, the Patriots. How in the hell is the Patriots line going to block Seattle's defense? Will Campbell's blocking method against Benito and whoever was on the edge was literally the cut block. I've never seen that. Hut, dive at knees. That's what he did literally for an entire game. I've never seen that from a tackle.
I'm going to extrapolate that a little bit further. They struggled against an excellent defense in the Chargers. They struggled with an excellent defense against the Texans. They struggled with an excellent defense against the Broncos. And you can make the case, I'm not saying it's true, you can make the case, Seattle has the best defense of all of them. And one thing that they don't need to do, they don't need to blitz. They can get 4 at you. And you know what? That's exactly what the 2013 Seahawks were. What they just lined up the same way every time, like Nebraska did in the 80s and Oklahoma did in the 70s and the 80s. They said, this is how we're going to play. We are going to rush 4. And if you can stop us, maybe we will adjust a little bit. But no one's been able to stop us before. And that particular defense shut down, at that time, the greatest defense in the greatest offense, I should say, in the history of the NFL. So I think we are on the same page. I think it's a double-digit win. I certainly could be wrong. I hope I'm not, because I put some money on the game, and I have 2 separate parlays going. One with the Seahawks winning by 6.5 and another one by 9.5. I'd be remiss if we did not get to the story that I would say we have buried the lead today. The most important story today is not Peyton Watson or what Troy Franklin said or the awards or the Super Bowl. The Winter Olympics start this Friday, Troy, and there is a report from The Athletic that alleged ski jumpers are injecting their penises with hyaluronic acid to go further off that ski jump. The World Doping Agency has vowed to investigate. Would you ever consider injecting your penis with anything in order to win a medal?
I would not. That's an easy answer. No.
And neither would I. And it's been a great week working with you, Troy. That's Hot Takes with Goodman and Rank. Make it the best possible weekend you can.